here.
You're on to a station that believes in you. We are the pride of the people. This is High Power 102.7 FM, the pride of the people.
Yes, a beautiful Friday morning to you listeners out there, and the program you're on to is In the Papers, coming to you from the stables of High Power 102.7 FM. It is a program where we preview and review newspaper headlines and news making rounds in the papers for your listening pleasure. My name is Inioluwa Adekoya, and this morning I've got with me the Oak newspaper, the Daily Post newspaper, the Nation newspaper, and the Punch newspaper. Right about now, I will take a short break. When I get back, I'll give you the headlines making rounds in the papers this morning. Stay locked into iPower 102.7 FM. Glad to have you back. Like I said earlier, the program you're on to is In the Papers, coming to you from the stables of High Power 102.7 FM. Beginning on the top of the list of our headlines this morning from the Oak newspaper, Ondo moves to digitize state law partners firm for public access. Yes, still taking headlines from the Oak newspaper. Ayedatiwa raises panel on wage increase for Rufus Giwa Poly. Yes, still on the Oak newspaper, of course. Ogun CP visits and DLEA bags anti-drug ambassadorial honor. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Oak newspaper, talking public health. Experts raise alarm over increasing hypertension cases in Nigeria. Yes, and now I take a flight to the Daily Post newspaper with this headline talking 2027. You have record of attending school 2 years before establishment. Atiku replies Tinubu. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper. Plateau community women stage naked protest over removal of traditional ruler by Governor Mufwang. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper. INEC adjusts Osun governorship election campaign period. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper. Tinubu mocks Atiku over role in Nigerian privatization program. Yeah, still on the Daily Post newspaper. Police foil attempt to burn government facilities in Ondo, NAB 6. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Daily Post newspaper. 2.2 million candidates set for 2026 UTME nationwide. Yeah, still on the Daily Post newspaper. ASU Afusta chapter threatens strike in Kebbi State. Yes, and now to the Punch newspaper. Nigerian couple jailed 3 years in UK over €433,000 fraud. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper. US ambassador post vacant in Nigeria, 116 countries. We are still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper. Lagos pastor bags life jail for raping church member's daughter. Yeah, still taking news from the Punch newspaper. UI begins search for next Vice Chancellor. Quickly to the Nation newspaper. US-based Nigerian coalition slams Kimberly Daniels' false call for Matawale's removal. Yes, and finally, taking headlines from the Nation newspaper. Police deport fugitive to UK over murder, drug trafficking. Yes, and with that last headline, we will take another short break. When we get back, we'll give you more news making rounds in the papers this morning. Do not go anywhere. Yes, glad you're still there. The program you're on to is In the Papers on iPower 102.7 FM. Beginning on the top of the list of our stories this morning from the Daily Post newspaper. Police for attempt to bomb government facilities in Ondo, NAB 6. And now to the details. The Ondo State Police Command has fought attempts by some suspected criminals to launch attacks on some government infrastructures with improvised explosive devices, IEDs, in the Akure metropolis and some other parts of the state. The suspects had allegedly infiltrated the state after mapping out specific locations of attack. While disclosing the development recently, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Inioluwa Adekoya, during a press briefing at the state headquarters of the command, revealed the operatives were deployed to identified areas after receiving the intel. According to Lawal, the suspects were apprehended before the planned attack could be executed, adding that the operations led to the arrest of 6 suspects as well as recovery of materials suspected to be components for fabrication of IEDs. The police boss identified the suspect as Adekunle Prosper, a 56-year-old, Ojo Olumide, a 39-year-old, Tokwe Kolawole, a 40-year-old, Ahmed Saliu, a 40-year-old, Balaji Adebowale, a 46-year-old, Gbadebo Abidemi, a 43-year-old. He said, and I quote, a thorough search of the scene and a subsequent operation at the suspect's apartment resulted in the recovery of catch of items, including 217 bottles, a bag of sugar, criminal charms, 17 mobile phones, the sum of 187,000 naira, 2 HP laptops, 8 slings, 1 knife, external hard drive, 2 identity cards, 1 national identity number, NIN card, 2 motorcycles, among others. Preliminary assessment indicate that some of these materials were intended for construction of explosive device, while others may have been used to facilitate coordinated criminal activities. Earlier findings from the investigation reveals that a group activity engaged in assembling IEDs allegedly intended for deployment on government infrastructures, with indications that their operations may extend beyond the state capital to other parts of the country. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Police for attempt to bomb government facilities in Ondo, NAB 6. Yes, and now to the Herb newspaper. Ayedatiwa raises panel on wage increase for Rufus Giwa Polytechnic. And now to the details. The governor of Ondo State, Honorable Lucky Ayedatiwa, has approved the constitution of a committee to review the implementation of the new minimum wage at the Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, or Rugipo. This is contained in a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Prince Ebenezer Adekoya. The move followed engagement with management and labor unions over harmonization of payments schedule for the staff of the institution. The committee, headed by the Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Mr. Olaolu Akindolire. Other members of the committee are Dr. Wumi Ilawole, Mr. Olaleye Phillips, Mr. Asonja Oluwole Festus, and Mr. Abiodun Ogunduboye. The committee is expected to liaise with the Polytechnic management, the union, and relevant state agencies to audit payroll data, reconcile implementation gaps, and recommend a sustainable payment structure. This is just as the governors declared the outstanding 3-month arrears of the workforce of the institution. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Ayedatiwa raises panel on wage increase for Rufus Giwa Polytechnic. Yes, quickly, still on the Earth newspaper, moving to Ogun State. Ogun CP visit NDLEA, bags anti-drug ambassadorial honor. And now to the details. The Ogun State Commissioner of Police, Bode Ojajuni, has paid a familiarization visit to the Ogun State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, where he was received by the State Commander, Commander Tijani Rabe. The visit underscored the need for sustained synergy and collaboration between both agencies in combating drug abuse and trafficking, with emphasis on intelligence sharing, joint operations, and coordinated public sensitization. In a recognition of his commitment to the fight against drug-related crimes, CP Ojajuni was decorated with the War Against Drug Abuse Ambassadorial tag, signifying his role as the advocate for drug-free society. Expressing appreciations to the NDLEA for the honor, he reaffirmed the command's resolve under his watch to strengthen inter-agency cooperation in addressing the challenge of substance abuse and its attendant crimes. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Ogun CP visits NDLEA, bags anti-drug ambassadorial honor. Yes, still on the Herb newspaper, talking public health. Experts raise alarm over increasing hypertension cases in Nigeria. And now to the details. Medical experts have raised fresh concerns over the rising prevalence of hypertension in Nigeria, warning that the condition, often described as a silent killer, is fast becoming a major public health crisis driven by a mix of genetics and lifestyle factors. The specialist, who spoke separately with newsmen, linked the growing burden of high blood pressure to rapid urbanization, unhealthy diet, stress, and low awareness level, noting that millions of Nigerians may be living with conditions unknowingly. They further stressed that without urgent intervention through lifestyle changes, early detection, and sustained public health education, the country could face a surge in complications such as heart disease, stroke, and kidney failure. Recall that the Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Mojisola Adeyeye, recently warned Nigerians against excessive sodium consumption, linking it to rising burden of non-communicable disease such as hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Public Health Experts Raise Alarm Over Increasing Hypertension Cases in Nigeria. Yes, so now I take a flight to the Daily Post newspaper, talking education matters. 2.2 million candidates sit for 2026 UTME nationwide. And now to the details. The 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME commenced nationwide recently, with more than 2.2 million candidates expected to sit for examinations across accredited centers. The examination, organized by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, will run from the 16th of April to the 22nd of April in multiple sessions scheduled daily. The Registrar of JAMB, Professor Isaac Oluyede, charged examination officials to demonstrate maximum commitment and professionalism, stressing that the success of the UTME largely depends on their performance and dedication to duty. Oluyede gave the charge during a virtual final briefing for technical officers ahead of the examination. He commended staff, ad hoc personnel, service providers, and technical advisors for their contribution to the successful conduct of the mock examinations. According to him, most challenges recorded during the mock exercise were linked to inadequate assessment of centers by some technical officials. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline 2.2 million candidates sit for 2026 UTME nationwide. Here, still on the Daily Post newspaper, ASU, a Fuster chapter threatens strike in Kebbi State. And now to the details. The Academic Staff Union of Abdullahi Fodio University of Science and Technology, Alero, ASU, a Fuster, has issued a fresh set of demands to Kebbi State government, warning of a possible strike action if urgent steps are not taken to address the long-standing grievances. The union chairman, Dr. Musa Isafakai, made the position known in a statement. He expressed the union's growing frustration over what he described as persistent neglect of staff welfare and unresolved labor issues at the institution. Fakai said the demands were part of the ongoing efforts by the union to draw attention to what he termed labor unfriendly conditions at the university, noting that similar concerns had been raised repeatedly through press briefings, official statements and other engagement without meaningful response for relevant authorities. According to him, despite continuous advocacy, key stakeholders including Ministry of Higher Education, the University Management and the Governing Council have failed to adequately address the challenges confronting academic staff. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, ASU, a Fuster chapter threatens strike in Kebbi State. Yeah, still taking headlines and news from the Daily Post newspaper. Sam Ahmadi fumes as Islamic cleric places bounty on pastor's head over blasphemy. And now to the details. Sam Ahmadi, a former chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has called for the arrest of a northern Islamic cleric captured in a viral video calling for the beheading of a Christian clergy. Recent reports that the video clip widely circulated on social media a few days ago reviewed a moment the cleric called for the killing of the pastor for allegedly insulting the Holy Prophet. The Islamic cleric also placed a 1 million naira bounty on the alleged blasphemer, flaunting some cash in the viral video, which he promised to give the killers when the job is done. The disturbing footage drew the attention of social media users, raising fear over the potential escalation of religious tensions, particularly in the northern part of the country. Reacting, Ahmadi, in a post on his ex-handle, called for the arrest of the violence instigator, stating that Nigeria is a constitutional democracy, not a theocracy. He wrote, warning to the Nigerian government, there is a pastor who is said to have spoken something about religion that he said to be blasphemous. Someone, a religious leader, has placed a bounty on his head. He has promised 1 million naira to whoever kills that pastor. This is a crime. The religious leader should be arrested and prosecuted. Furthermore, the Nigerian government ought to protect the pastor accused of blasphemy. For avoidance of doubt, blasphemy is not and cannot be a crime in Nigeria. Speaking against the prophet of any religious symbol does not give a person the right to threaten the life of another person. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Sam Amadi fumes as Islamic cleric places bounty on pastor's head over blasphemy. Still on the Daily Post newspaper, Tinubu mocks Atiku overall in Nigeria's privatization program. And now to the details. President Bola Tinubu has criticized opposition figures over their past role in Nigeria's economic reforms, particularly targeting former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's tenure as chairman of the National Council on Privatization NCP. Speaking at a renewed open agenda meeting at the presidential villa in Abuja, Tinubu criticized the privatization program undertaken by Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, in which Atiku played a role. He said, and I quote, the Atiku was the chairman of the Privatization Council of Nigeria at one time. Tinubu questioned the handling of key industrial assets such as Ajaokuta Steel Company and other steel projects. He further stated, and I quote, they privatized the steel industry in Delta. Is it working today? They privatized Ajaokuta. Is it working today? Go on the list. They privatized another man's political party. That one says no. Their job is done. Recent reports recall that Atiku served as chairman of the National Council on Privatization, the policy-making body overseeing Nigeria's privatization program under the Bureau of Public Enterprise (BPE). If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Tinubu mocks Atiku over role in Nigeria's privatization program. Yes, on the Daily Post newspaper, you have record of attending school 2 years before establishment. Atiku replies Tinubu. And now to the details. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has accused President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of hypocrisy, historic distortion, and political desperation. In a statement by his spokesperson, Frank Shaibu, Atiku described Tinubu's recent remarks as a reckless tirade and exposes a troubling pattern of hypocrisy and historic amnesia. There are recent reports that President Tinubu had traded Atiku over his credentials and his handling of the country's economy during his tenure as vice president. Reacting, the former vice president expressed astonishment that a president who has faced persistent questions over his own credentials would attempt to discredit others with well-documented records of public service. He said, the statement reads, and I quote, Atiku Abubakar's attention has been drawn to the latest reckless tirade by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a performance that exposes not just desperation but a troubling pattern of hypocrisy and historic amnesia. Speaking on the country's privatization, Atiku's camp said President Tinubu's criticism collapses under scrutiny, recalling that the president had previously opposed the very reforms he now appears to be implementing. Atiku had long advocated for privatization of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and the sale of refineries to credible private investors, a position Tinubu reportedly resisted at the time. However, a statement argued that the current administration is now presiding over a system that has effectively commercialized the national oil company in opacity, without clear valuation, without transparency, and with lingering questions over who truly benefits. This is not reform, it is privatization without accountability, Atiku stated. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, 2027, you have record record of attending school 2 years before establishment. Atiku replies, Tinubu. Yes, still taking headlines and news from the Daily Post newspaper. INEC adjusts Osun governorship election campaign period. And now to the details. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has announced adjustment for the campaign period ahead of the Osun state governorship election. The adjusted schedule for the election was announced in a statement issued recently by Mohammed Kudu Aruna, National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voters Education Committee. The statement reads, and I quote, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, issued the revised timetable and schedule of activities for the 2027 general election and adjusted the Osun State governorship election forward by 1 week from the 8th of August 2026 to the 15th. As a result of the adjustment, the last day of political parties' campaign in the state is now midnight on Thursday, the 13th of August 2026, in line with Section 98, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2026, which provides that campaign shall end 24 hours prior the election day. The Commission urges all political parties, candidates, and stakeholders to strictly adhere to the revised timeline. INEC remains committed to the conduct of free, fair, credible, and inclusive elections. The statement reads, if that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, INEC adjusts Osun governorship election campaign period. Yes, the program you're still onto is in the papers, coming to you from the stables of our Power 102.7 FM. The time has come for you listeners out there to call in to any of the like I said earlier, the time has come for you listeners out there to call in to any of the news for comments and contributions, of course, to any of the news read out to you. And the number to call is 0816-552-4699. The number again, 0816-552-4699. You can also reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at iPower1027. And you can reach out to us on X at iPower1027. The number to call again for comments and contribution is 0816-552-4699. Right about now, we will take a short break. When we get back, we'll give you more news making rounds in the papers this morning. the program you're on to is in the papers on iPower 102.7 FM. It is a program where we preview and review newspaper headlines and news making rounds in the papers for your listening pleasure. The phone lines are still open, and the number to call is 0816 552 4699 0816 552 4699 for comments and contributions to any of the news read out to you. And now back to the Punch newspaper. Nigerian couple jailed 3 years in UK over 433,000 fraud. And now to the details. Amid a major fraud crackdown, a Nigerian couple, Luciana and Femi Akambi, have been jailed in the United Kingdom after authorities uncovered a tax rebate fraud scheme involving a stolen personal data of transport for London employees. The scheme, which ran between September 2021 to January 2022, used sensitive details of at least 40 workers to file 139 fake tax claims consisting over 433,000 euros. At Warwick Crown Court, Judge David Miller described the scale of breach, stating TFL suffered their worst ever data breach. There were 139 claims of tax rebates, totaling just under 649,000 euros. The money lost to HMRC amounted to just over 433,000 euros. Prosecutor Andrew Evans added, the fraud was sophisticated in nature, required significant planning, and involved a large number of victims. The court heard that the proceeds were laundered through complex channels, while transport from London confirmed stronger data protection measures. HMRC also warned it would continue to pursue individuals exploiting the tax system, with deportation proceedings possible for the couple serve their sentence. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Nigerian couple jailed 3 years in UK over 433,000 euro fraud. Still on the Punch newspaper, U.S. ambassador post vacant in Nigeria, 116 countries, says. And now to the United States. And now to the details. The United States ambassador position in Nigeria and 116 other countries are currently vacant, reflecting a broader diplomatic gap affecting countries across different regions of the world, according to official results released by the U.S. Department of State. The document, published on the 8th of April 2026 via the U.S. Department of State website, titled Ambassadorial Assignment Overseas by the Office of Presidential Appointment, showed that Nigeria is amongst 117 countries yet to have a Senate-confirmed U.S. ambassador. The document was obtained by newsmen recently. The affected countries spread across Africa, Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Oceania. In Africa, the vacancies exist in countries including Algeria, Angola, Benin, Burundi, Cape Verde, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Democratic Republic of Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Eritrea, Eswatini, Gabon, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Libya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritania, Mauritius, Mozambique, Niger, Nigeria, Republic of Congo, Rwanda, Sao Tome and Principe, Senegal, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Somalia, Sudan, Tanzania, and Togo. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, U.S. Ambassador post vacant in Nigeria and 116 other countries. Still on the Punch newspaper, Lagos pastor bags life jail for raping church member's daughter. And now to the details. A 63-year-old cleric, Chris Douglas, has been convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment by the Lagos State Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja for raping a church member's daughter. Delivering judgment recently, Justice Rahman Oshodi held that Douglas, a general overseer of Peculiar Generation Assemblies Church, Oshodi, abused his position of authority and trust to exploit the victim, describing the conduct as a gross breach of trust. The judge said the convict occupied a position of spiritual authority and was regarded as a father figure by the victim and our family. He further added that instead of protecting the trust, the convict betrayed it in the most reprehensible manner. The court held that the abuse occurred in a hotel on several occasions, noting that the victim and her family relied on the cleric for spiritual guidance. Justice Oshodi further stated that the prosecution proved that the victim suffered severe psychological trauma as the result of the abuse. He further stated, and I quote, "The court accepts the evidence that the victim suffered depression and recurrent suicidal thought as a direct consequence of the convict's action." During the trial, the prosecution, led by Director of Public Prosecution Dr. Babajide Martins, called 5 witnesses, including the victim, a mother, and a medical doctor. Medical and documentary exhibits were also tendered in as evidence. The victim told the court that the cleric initially drugged and raped her on the September 2017. She said, and I quote, "I trusted him like a spiritual father. I never imagined he could do this to me." Her mother also told the court that she confronted the victim after discovering the incident. She said, in my quote, "When I went to his church, he cried and said it was the work of the devil. He begged us in front of the elders." The complainant said the matter was later reported to the Human Rights Organization, the police at Makinde Division, and the Mirabel Center for medical examination. The convict, however, denied the allegation and told the court that the relationship was consensual, but Justice Oshodi rejected the claims, holding that the evidence before the court established rape beyond a reasonable doubt. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Lagos pastor bags life jail for raping church member's daughter. Yes, the phone lines are still open for comments and contributions to any of the stories or news read out to you. And the number to call is 0816 552 4699. 0816 552 4699. Yes, still on the Punch newspaper, UI begins search for next Vice Chancellor. And now to the details. The search for the 14th Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan has begun. This follows a call for application made public via an external advertisement. Appointment of Vice Chancellor University of Ibadan by the University Registrar Ganiu Saliu published recently. The public notice indicated that the post of Vice Chancellor of the Premier University would become vacant on the 1st of November 2026. The Governing Council of the University, as its meeting on the 4th of March 2026, proclaimed the commencement of the process of appointing the new substantive Vice Chancellor of the University. The incumbent Vice Chancellor, Professor Kayode Adebowale, October 2021 emerged after a 5-year non-renewable tenure following a long process ridden with tension and controversy. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, UI begins search for next Vice Chancellor. Still taking headlines and news from the Punch newspaper. Dangote unveils plan to sell 10% refinery stake via Pan-Africa IPO. And now to the details. The Dangote Group is moving forward with plans to sell a 10% stake in its $20 billion, 650,000 barrel per day refinery through the landmark Pan-African initial public offering in 2026. Alhaji Aliko Dangote made this known during an event organized by the Atlantic Council in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. He said the share sale would support long-term investment and the Pan-African capital market participation. According to him, Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals FZE will pay dividends to shareholders in dollars after listing, although specific financial details of the planned offering were not disclosed. Dangote said that the company has appointed Stanbic IBTC Capital Limited, Vativa Advisory Service Limited, and First Cap Limited as advisors for the proposed IPO. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Dangote unveils plans to sell 10% refinery stake via Pan-African IPO. Still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper. Ondo ex-governor Mimiko dumps PDP. And now to the details. A former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Mimiko, has officially resigned his membership of the People's Democratic Party. The former governor, who ruled the state between 2009 and 2016, made this known in a letter addressed to the party chairman in Ward 7 in Ondo's West local government area. He said, and I quote, "I am tendering my resignation from the People's Democratic Party effective from the 10th of April 2026. Mimiko, who was largely been away from partisan politics, said in the resignation letter, speculations and inquiries about my membership status have made it necessary for me to clarify my position. As I have been somewhat distanced from party activities, I wish to put it on the record that I am no longer a member of the PDP. The former governor said he made the decision without animosity towards anyone. It was not officially stated at the time of this report whether the former governor will be joining the All Progressive Congress or opposition African Democratic Congress. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Ondo ex-governor Mimiko dumps PDP. Yes, so now quickly to the Nation newspaper. US-based Nigerian coalition slams Kimberly Daniels' false calls for Matawale's removal. And now to the details. A coalition of Nigerians in the United States has criticized recent remarks by U.S. lawmaker Kimberly Daniels, describing a call for Bello Matawale's removal as ill-informed and potentially detrimental to Nigerian sovereignty. Operating under the banners of the Nigerian-American Coalition of Strategic Stability and ACSS, the group said the intervention reflects a pattern of foreign commentary lacking sufficient understanding of Nigerian security landscape. In a statement signed by its convener, Maxwell Akarachi, the coalition cautioned against efforts that could distort facts or undermine confidence in the country's defense institution. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, U.S.-based Nigerian coalition slams Kimberly Daniels' false calls for Matawale's removal. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Nation newspaper, of course. Police deport fugitive to UK over murder, drug trafficking. And now to the details. The Nigerian Police Force, MPF, has extradited one Matthew Chukwuemeka Adekoya to the United Kingdom to face charges bordering on murder and drug trafficking. The extradition was carried out through the Interpol National Central Bureau, NCB, Abuja. The extradition, the police said, followed a request by UK authorities in September 2024 to locate, arrest and extradite the fugitive over his alleged involvement in the murder of one Joshua Baudu on the 18th of June 2018, after which he fled to Nigeria to evade arrest. It was also alleged to have been involved in supply of crack cocaine, a Class A controlled drugs between October 2017 and March 2018 in the UK. According to the statement by the Public Relations Officer, Deputy Commissioner of Police Anthony Placid, the suspect was arrested on the 23rd of January 2025 by operatives of the Interpol NCB Abuja, following which extradition proceedings were initiated at the Federal High Court Lagos Judicial Division in suit number FHC LCS/416/2025. On the 16th of February 2026, Honorable Justice A.O. Faji granted the application for his extradition in accordance with the Extradition Act, Cap E25, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, Police deport fugitive to UK over murder, drug trafficking. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Nation newspaper. Okpebolo gives scholarship to slain generals' children. And now to the details. Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo has approved full education scholarship for children of the late Brigadier General Oseni Ibrahima, who was recently killed by Boko Haram insurgents. The deceased was a commander, 29th Oxford Brigade, which was attacked at the military base in Beneshik, Borno State. College. Hailed from Warake, Owan East Local Government, a border town with Auchi in Estako West Local Government. The scholarship will fund the children's education from current level to university. Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Okpebolo Patrick Ebojele, in a statement said the decision underscored the administration's commitment to honoring the sacrifice of fallen military personnel and supporting families they left behind. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on The Nation newspaper with the headline, Okpebolo gives scholarship to slain generals' children. Yes, the program you're on to is in the papers, coming to you from the stables of our Power 102.7 FM. Our time is fast spent on the program this morning, but before we call it a wrap, we will go on a short break. When we come back, we will call it a wrap on the program in the papers. Yes, glad to have you back. The time has come for us to call it a wrap on today's edition of In the Papers, coming to you from the stables of our Power 102.7 FM. We hope this review has kept you informed of news making rounds in the papers this morning. Until next time, my name remains Inioluwa Adekoya. Have a wonderful day today and good morning.